Hey, thanks for tuning into the channel. For this project, this video, we're going to be looking at AWS, Databricks, and Power BI, and we're going to be creating a full stack solution for that. One more thing before I forget is I am using AWS free and Databricks trial. So if you're not sure how to sign up for those, I'm going to have two separate videos for both of those, as well as a video for connecting your Databricks to your GitHub. And so all three of those are what I use in this video. So if you haven't set that up and you're following step by step, or you're curious how to do that, pause this real quick and jump back to those videos, and they'll have a step by step on how to set up both AWS and Databricks trial. Okay, so two things before we get to the architecture diagram. The first thing is I think it's so important to find something you're passionate about when you're doing these projects, when you're self-learning, self-teaching. And so for this example, I'm doing this off of an online game called RuneScape. So if you've heard of it, you probably know it's pretty nerdy, but it's something that I like. It's something I've been playing for 16 years. So it's fun for me to get in and do this. It's actually going to be pulling the items. They've got their own economy. And so it's going to be looking at the items that are selling for low and high prices and when they're selling, so that you can kind of monitor those prices. The second thing that I want to add in is thanks for coming along and watching this for me. I'm self-learning as we go. So if you see anything that I do that you got a question about, or if you see anything that I do and you're like, hey, you can do it a lot better, please let me know. Put in a comment, whatever, email me. You'll see my email address on here. Let me know, because I love to learn. I want to learn. And I think building a good community around stuff like this is how we can all learn. So let's hop in. So as you can see up here, I've got my my two cloud images here that represent the APIs that we're going to be hitting, and then we're going to be bringing that data down into our Databricks session. So you can see that actually the Databricks session and the Databricks notebooks that we're going to be using, as well as the Databricks Delta table, are going to be a part of AWS. So that's the cloud provider that is going to be providing the resources for Databricks in this example. And so we're going to be bringing down those two APIs using Databricks notebooks, and we're going to be putting it into a Databricks Delta table. Now, the reason why I'm using two APIs is because the items from the item information API has the name and the item ID that I'm looking for, and the Grand Exchange API has only the item ID, but it has the price information and the date information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down information for the items, and I'm going to use that, you'll see in the notebooks later, to parse through the information from the Grand Exchange API and pull out the ones that I want to know about, and place only those into the Delta table. And then at the end, you can see that the data from the Delta table is going to be going into Power BI, and that's where we're going to be doing our reporting. Okay, so the first thing I'll just go over here is the README. Inside, I've just got a real quick explanation of what it's doing, and then I've got the two API calls, the URLs listed here. And so that's just for information purposes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back inside the folder structure. I'm going to create a new folder called Notebooks, put that out there, and then inside of that I'm going to create the notebook that we're going to be using for these API calls, and we're going to call that OSRS underscore API. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the coding. Okay, so looks like we were successful. We got everything written, so let's go ahead and commit that to our GitHub repo. Okay, so if you guys are paying attention, you probably saw I made this huge mistake here where when I'm writing with the Spark data frame that I did a overwrite whenever I go to make these tables. And so that's not going to work for whenever I want to rerun this and to get new data for really any table, because items could change, and then we're also doing an accumulation of the item data, so the prices and when the data scan. So let's go ahead and let's rewrite that to something that's going to be able to accumulate that, and then we're also going to set up a job here that you'll see. Okay, so now you can see that the job has completed. It's got successful status, and the cool thing is it's going to output any of those queries that you had, so we can see the results right away from the job set here. Um, Also, we can go over to our little playground area that we had set up, and we can do our counts here just to verify that everything looks good. Okay, now that our data is set up in our Delta tables, it's time to pull it all into Power BI to make our reporting visuals. So Databricks does this awesome thing where you can actually download the connector. You can go to the SQL warehouse that you're working with, and you can use their Partner Connect, I believe it's called, and you can download the connection file. So once that's downloaded, you can open that up, and that's going to bring you right to the connection settings to where you need to be to pull in the data there. Since we only have those two tables, it's going to make it real easy on us. We're just going to select those two, and we're going to go ahead and click load. Now, one thing I want to point out is I didn't at first make this a import. I made it a direct query. So you're going to want to change it to an import just so that we can change the data inside the Power BI model. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm just going through and I'm looking at the way the data came out and reviewing it. Now you can see these timestamps came across in epoch time, and so that doesn't do very well in Power BI. So we're gonna have to convert it to an actual date and timestamp. So I'm writing the code here, and now you can see that it errored out. So if we go back, we see that it came over as a text format, so you can't do math on text. So I'm going to go and insert a step here where I'm going to change it to a whole number format, and then I'm going to make sure that that did work. So I'm going to go back, and on that same step, I'm going to change the rest of these columns to make sure that they're all a whole number format. And then I'm going to apply the custom column to each of these to make those. Now, I know you're probably thinking, hey, why didn't you just make it a date format in Databricks? Well, then I wouldn't have got to show you guys my Power Query skills here that I stole off of Google. So that, and I didn't think about it. But hey, it's all a learning experience. So I'm going to add those here, and then I'm going to remove the three columns that are still the epoch timestamp. Okay, so now I'm just going to check on our two ID fields to make sure they're the same format so that whenever they get brought into the Power BI model, Power BI is going to try to make a relationship between them. So I'm just going to try to help Power BI a little bit there. If not, if one was text and one was whole number, it wouldn't create the relationship, and we wouldn't be able to until we change that format. So now that those changes are in place, we're going to go ahead and load that in the Power BI model. So now inside Power BI Desktop, we can see the data is in there, and there's the relationship I was talking about. Power BI was able to go ahead and create that. It also created it correctly with a one-to-many relationship, so it gets it right sometimes. That relationship is going to enable these two tables to talk to each other, to work well with each other. So for example, here I'm making a table with item name, and then I'm going to put in the price there, and you can see that it automatically knows which name goes with which price. So that's thanks to that relationship. Now I'm not going to go through and create an entire report here because there are so many different things that you can do when it comes to visuals, colors, formats. But I am just going to throw a couple things on here just to show you how we can utilize this data that we brought into Databricks in Power BI. So here's the date slicer that we can use as this data matures and we get more data. With that job that we created keeps running, we'll be able to really slice and dice this data on a bunch of different things. So again, I've got a couple videos about Power BI. They're in a bite-sized format that you guys can watch and get some more information on Power BI. So the last thing I want to cover before we end this video is, I know we did the downloader earlier with Power BI, but I also wanted to show you guys first to make sure you make your warehouse small so you don't use up all your credits on AWS. But I also wanted to show you how you can get that connection string directly to your warehouse for Power BI, Tableau. As you see, there's a whole list of connectors down there that you can use. All right, that's going to do it. Real quick video about how to use AWS, Databricks, and Power BI for a full data solution. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll have more videos as we learn together. Thanks.